eerie sight, for my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast, the ghouls all came from their humble abodes. From my electrode,
They did the mash.
they did the monster
The
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
did the mash.
On in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to What the Frick Live here on 107.7 FM. I'm your host, Emily Menshouse, and I have Mr. Sorry.
Mr. I like the math teacher, Mr. Martinez.
High school
What's going on?
teacher. I have Will Martinez with me. He is a Mr.
That's
and,
right.
And I appreciate him very much. I'm so thankful for him.
Appreciate you too, Miss
And
Menshouse.
it's Friday the 13th, and
Uh-oh.
it's absolutely crazy.
Yes, it
You
is.
name it has happened today. And I actually am in favor of the 13th since I'm a Friday the 13th baby.
That's right.
Born at 11:36 p.m. My mom could have waited 20 more minutes. I always said that, but she didn't.
It's all good. Yeah. Why wait?
But technology issues today, left and right. And I promised a lot of people, made a lot of posts and stuff that we're going to be live on TikTok this evening for the first time, and we're not. So I'm so sorry.
That's okay, though. That's okay.
I'm so sorry, everybody. Maybe next week. We got some things we got to figure out with TikTok here. So hopefully that'll come along here pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. But we appreciate everybody tuning in, specifically in New Orleans, because our guest tonight is originally from New Orleans. And we're going to get into that. And we love everybody watching via social media, which we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. So please share this out. It helps our guests, it helps our show, and it helps the network too. But Will has a show, Dark Fringe Radio. Will, what's going on over there at Dark Fringe?
We're just tomorrow will be the return to the Devil's Tree. So for those that don't know, Devil's Tree was a spot that's here in Florida that I have traveled to a couple times, where there was the very first serial killer from Florida who happened to be a deputy sheriff and killed a lot of hitchhikers along the way. And so we ended up doing an investigation, and all the EVPs that we captured on the Spirit Box will be available tomorrow. So that's a new episode that we're coming out with tomorrow. So check it out, darkfringeradio.com.
Woo-woo. Okay, I'll be excited. I love it when true crime and paranormal connect, and we have the perfect guest tonight for that. But if you're watching via Facebook, we love comments. Keep commenting. I don't care what it is. Ask questions. It keeps us in the algorithm of Facebook. So please do that. And if it happens by chance that you come up when you're leaving comments or anything says Facebook user, we can't see your name or your picture, you got to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to use your name. Also, everybody on Good Pods that are listening to us on Good Pods, thank you so much. We've had a wonderful week, and we are ranked. I'm going to just tell you this, just in the week. After this, we'll go up higher. It's
especially with our guests tonight too. Yeah.
Yes. But we're ranked 13th on the 13th.
Oh,
so I'm so excited about that. That's okay. I'll take that number. So we appreciate everybody, and thank you everybody that's on 107.7 FM. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all. So let's get to our guest this evening. She's been on the show before, but was when we were under Paranormal Warehouse, and it's been, it seems like yesterday, but it's been
over 2 years.
3 years
almost 3. Yeah.
It's been absolutely crazy. We have Tammie Chavez, and that's coming on from Hollyweird Paranormal. She's a co-host of the podcast, or a host of the podcast. In 2017, her and her co-host Brice Williams joined forces to delve into the realms of the true crime and paranormal occurrences spanning from Hollywood to Los Angeles, California. and even further, because we're going to be talking about Kentucky and stuff tonight too.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to a
Through
lot
their
of stuff.
show, they captivate listeners with intriguing accounts of real crimes that are linked to supernatural aftermath. Besides her role as a paranormal investigator and podcast host, she dedicates her full-time career to costume design, working in film, television, and theater. And I actually saw her recently on Ghost Adventures. We're going to bring Tammie on right now to the show.
Hey, Tammie.
Hi.
Welcome.
Great to be back.
I am so sorry about all the craziness before the show.
Friday the 13th. It is Friday the 13th. It is, one of those spooky days.
It's meant to be. Right.
There needs to be like behind the scenes stuff on all these shows because people don't understand how hard we work and all the freaked up things. I'm going to say what the freaked up things that happen before we even go live.
Right.
Every time. So how are you, Tammie?
I am doing very well, very busy. It is Halloween, it's the spooky season, and for all of us, it's definitely a doozy. And but it's something that we love, right? And we just keep on, pounding the pavement for it. So I've been involved in many other projects, interviews, and also hunts and future hunts and preparing for those. So it's gonna get even crazier soon.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw you recently on Ghost Adventures. It's like,
I know. I saw Tammie. I was like, she did it. She made it.
I know. That is probably one of the most pivotal points for anyone who's involved in the paranormal. Yes. Even if they are not in favor of the Baggins, to be on there, it's still a good.
Well, are we, David Oman? I'll just tell you, because you and I clicked over David Oman and the Manson, because Charles Manson's from my hometown. And everything. I think he killed his uncle and all these things. But David Oman stopped talking to me when I kind of defended Zach Bagans from a business point of view. So
yeah, he's very sensitive.
Have you talked?
He's a little sensitive about me being on the show. Yeah, so it's
well,
but they have to understand too, though, that show is a legacy too itself. That's without him, just take him out of the equation. If you do, that show's been on for a long time, and they've been everywhere. You know what I mean? So you have to,
it's been a long time, and that show really brought everything into light and was like such a pivotal point in paranormal in the mainstream,
Correct.
So
absolutely.
I think I do tip my hat off to him for bringing much more paranormal into the mainstream.
Absolutely. And by the way, he bought, I guess it was the Exorcist box not too long ago, just recently, and then he bought like the diary of one of the priests that did the actual original exorcism of that kid in St. Louis, Missouri, that was based off the real Exorcist, movie. So he's been just curating all this weird stuff as of late. It's just wild.
Yeah, that's his job. He has that museum in Nevada, and I think I think I'm going to go visit it next month.
Nice.
Nice. Well, that's one of my questions because you did a lot of investigations and stuff with the LA Police Museum and how all the fillings of all that kind of stuff that's happened. We'll get into this maybe here in a second, but the Mob Museum is in LA, or not LA, Las Vegas as well. I wonder, because they got the wall, the Valentine's Day stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's going to go on there? Tammie, you've got to go. We got to go there too.
I think that's definitely on my list. Like whenever I go to a place, I definitely research the paranormal locations and museums and stuff that have like a lot of these artifacts. And that is definitely on my list. That has a lot of energy. Most definitely.
Oh yeah.
Maybe bullets and a tinge of blood on there still left over.
Yeah, exactly.
The weapons, the wall, they have the wall where everybody was lined up. Imagine that imprint on that wall.
Oh, major imprint.
Like I get goosebumps even thinking about it.
I know.
So I'll tell you this. I remember the first time that I connected with you through social media and things, and you deal with a lot of old Hollywood and all that kind of stuff, which I love. I love old Hollywood. But Bridget off of Girls Next Door, Hugh Hefner's girlfriend. What was her podcast or what was her show?
Yeah, it was Ghost Magnet, and we're actually
Ghost Magnet.
friends. Yeah, we're friends, and we always converse online, and I'm always cheering her on for her new endeavor now.
Good.
She left Ghost Magnet to pursue Girls Next Level with Holly Madison, which of course it blew up. And Holly, who is still with her boy Zach, and she's always hanging out at the museum. So yeah, they're all doing super well, and no matter what Bridget does, like it just turns into gold. She has that energy.
Oh, I love her. She's super sweet. She was
really
she was actually, her and Holly both. I don't know. I like Kendra too. I liked all of them. I wanted to know more stories behind the mansion though. Like they give us just a little bit, but so Tammie, that's another. I'm setting all kinds of goals for you over here. You gotta go to the mansion and do this because you do fabulous, reels, which has become really popular and stuff over the last few years, specifically since COVID happened and stuff. You do a fabulous job in getting all this together. And I'm going to ask that question now, and then I'm going to let Will pick up. But real quick, for people that are just now getting into reels, cough, cough, myself. I have not put my face or Will's face on any reels because everybody's like, you got to get personal about it. Is there any kind of advice or any kind of apps or anything that you want to direct people to that might want to start doing this and to help them like organize their 60 seconds that might make it something easier? Because when I look at some of these videos and you all do this in 60 seconds, I was like, and knowing the background of just doing this show, I'm like, what the heck? It's overwhelming to me.
It is. I mean, it was a little arduous for me in the very, very beginning. I'm not going to lie. Like for one 60-second video, it would take me 3 hours. I have one that I'm supposed to redo for Jack in the Box by 6 o'clock this evening. And I needed a break. Thank God I'm doing this interview because I'm going to like rip my hair out because they want these a certain way. But I say, keep on practicing, keep on doing it. Like even write out your little script, do thorough research, collect your pictures, and just find your groove, find your voice. Like even if it's just like showing your face just to introduce the title of what you're going to talk about with a question for the first 5 or 8 seconds, that's impactful. Okay, now I see the face that goes with the voice, but now it's time to hear the story. We're also commentators and storytellers, but in the paranormal, so that's also very important to share those stories of those who are no longer here. As for apps, my favorite app by far to even spend the money on their basic monthly deals is CapCut. It's so intuitive. A lot of that. It's the best. I've used it when I did the reels for travel, and I'm using it for this Jack in the Box deal and for FX. I use it because like if they need you to go back or if you need to re-edit something, especially for TikTok or reels, you could go back and it automatically saves everything. You can it has a bunch of transitions. It has a way to extract audio or add it. It's wonderful. Like and it's so intuitive to use. So that is something that I highly recommend.
Very nice.
I see a lot of that on TikTok. Down the bottom, it's CapCut. Go ahead, Will.
Well, Tammie, I mean, you've been busy as of late, to say the least, being everywhere and TV and doing your own investigations. Something that I saw recently, and I wanted to talk to you about, was you trying to save Marilyn Monroe's house out there. Talk to me a little bit about that. So this has been ongoing since 2017. Okay. So I think her name was Brina Wilkinson. I could have gotten her name wrong, but who cares? But she wanted to tear it down. So this billionaire heiress from a real estate mogul who inherited all of daddy's money and is running his company bought the house next door to Marilyn's, and then eventually bought Marilyn Monroe's home, I think in the early in 2017. And there were plans to tear it down, and it never went forward. The sign to tear down this location had been up for many years, up until this year. It looked like all
all lights were ready to go with the demolition. And because of the power of social media, many people took to, the public and to our councilwoman, Tracy Park, to say, hey, this needs to be saved. And, we couldn't save Jane Mansfield's Pink Palace off of Sunset. We couldn't save Mary Pickford and who was it? Joseph Fairbanks's home and mansion, Pickfair. And we definitely are trying to see what we could do in terms of saving now. What is it? The Viper Room off of Sunset, because that's also kind of on the list. And the Brown Derby has also been turned on. There's been so many places here, historical places that have been torn down. And I think this was enough. Right. And because of social media, because people called Tracy Park, because we reached out to other people to get to Tracy Park, we were able to put somewhat of a temporary hold to make it recognized as a historical location. And it worked. So now the owner of that property is getting a lot of flack, and she has a lot of people that she would piss off if she were to tear down this property. And I know that it's hers, and I know she could do whatever she wants with it. I get it, but it's this is the last thing of Marilyn's that she owned herself. Homegirl worked her ass off. She bought this. This was her sanctuary. This was hers, and now it's going to be it's going to go. It's going to disappear, and that we couldn't let that happen. And her, that her spirit's still there. Her ghost is
of course.
There, so.
Well, I believe it's there, but then there's also this big, huge TikTok influencer, Jasmine.
Oh, Kiswell,
Kiswell, that owns one of Marilyn's properties too. That when she was married to Joe Miaggio, you can't say his name.
Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio.
Okay, Appalachia. And she has haunted. I don't know if it's made up or not. I didn't dive deep into her. I do like her as a person. I like her TikToks, and I understand why people are intrigued because she kind of mimics Marilyn. She dresses like Marilyn. She looks like Marilyn and all that stuff. But she claims that property is haunted. And so if it is, I mean, why wouldn't Marilyn also stay in a place where she met her tragic death, on top of those things? We need to keep these things around. It actually hurts my heart when we see people destroy history.
I know. Trust me, I know. I mean, it's a day-to-day thing that we see here in Los Angeles. It's a trend, unfortunately, because we have a lot of people that come in with money, as we've seen with this owner, and we have a lot of foreign buyers that come in with billions of money, and this is how they operate. And a lot of times, don't mean to be the devil's advocate, but they don't know. They really don't know what they just bought until it's done. And that is pretty much the sad thing too that is happening in the city. And I know we're doing something with La Golondrina, which is Little Mexico here in Los Angeles. It's a little place called Placita Olvera, which is pretty much the location of where Los Angeles got its roots. And then we have the city that also doesn't do anything. They want to constantly change how the city is looking. So they want to tear it down, this whole historical location, just so people can shop and eat in expensive places, live in high rises that they want to build more parking structures because of the Dodger Stadium. And I think they're planning on doing something where they're adding water ducts. They want to add a water duct that could send people on gondolas to the Dodger Stadium. And it's it's ridiculous.
That is wild.
Gondolas to the Dodgers.
It is so bad. We're this is not Vegas. Come on.
This is first world problems.
I know. They're wanting to tear down places that have been around since the 1880s.
That is wild.
It's terrible. So thank God for social media, and also content creators here that are no, we want to preserve it. We need to do a call to action.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Will.
So Tammie, that's fine. Tammie, can you tell us about maybe one of your latest investigations as of late?
Yes,
if
definitely.
you could. Talk to us about that if you could.
Paranormal Gordos is a group that I just found out about. Yeah. And there is a gentleman by the name of Momo who's been a star of, I think, the show The Mayans on FX. So he has this little...
Oh, I need to look this up.
yeah, this paranormal group and channel called Paranormal Gordos, and they were invited to a private location in Huntington Park here in California.
Okay.
And it's another, old place in in Los Angeles proper. And a gentleman has a house that was built in 1920, and ever since he bought it, I want to say almost 18 years ago, he's been experiencing a lot of things that he can't explain. Things that include full body apparitions, several of them. I mean, even his neighbors have seen things that they can't explain. He now has a woman climbing into bed with him at night.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. Just kidding.
And
Well,
hey.
for a while.
don't disturb Will. Is all I gotta say.
He doesn't seem bothered by it. He's like, I want to know who it is at least who's getting into my bed. So we went there. I went there with him to investigate and to actually interview the gentleman, the owner. And I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to pretty much exhume when you interview people of these locations, because the more that I talked to him, the more I was learning about past loved ones that passed away that were very close to him. So it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. After they passed, is this when you were experiencing, certain things? Yes. Okay. Now we're connecting certain dots. But also bringing into the research and the due diligence, I found that someone died on the property. So a young gentleman that died on the property. So that also lends to something that could possibly be there. And I can share with you guys this ghost story. It was such a crazy ghost story because I was like, see, that tells you that there's something here. So he was telling me he's a collector of old cars. So he was working on this old Mustang, and he looks up and he notices his neighbor right in front of that faces, he lives in the house that faces his house, was like waving, but he was waving at the house. Like he was looking up and waving at the house, and he was, like talking to someone from where he was at. And the owner was like, what the hell is going on? No one was in the house, by the way. It was because he lives alone. So he goes up to the neighbors like, yo, my dude, what's going on? And the neighbor looked at him pretty stunned, like, how did you get down here that quickly? And he's like, no, I've been here working on the car. He's like, you were just up there. I was waving at you. You were up there, in the attic.
Wow.
And I saw you in the window, and it was you. Or I thought it was you. I just saw a man, and I just thought it was you, and I was waving, and I was trying to talk to you to get you to come down. And he was like, no one's in the house. I've been out here working on this car for the past hour. So right there is like, now it's not just him, it's other people seeing this phenomenon and experiencing
doppelganger stuff. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's
so it's I get chills. But yeah, like we did an Estes session there. We got a lot of things. Like it validated that there's 3 possible entities there. Definitely one of a child, a woman, and possibly a man that used to live there. So it's an ongoing process. I'm going to go back next month to investigate and talk to him some more and figure out what we can do.
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful. Wow.
Speaking of doppelgangers in Kentucky, and you went with you were part of Strange Escapes tour with Amy Bruni.
Yeah.
I've gone on one of those too. It was a really great time. I had so much fun.
It's so great.
But you all got to investigate Waverly, correct?
Yes, I got to investigate Waverly with Aaron Sangers. Adam Berry, Sean. I can't remember his last name from the Holzer Files. Or Shane.
Oh, Shane.
Yeah. Him and
Pittman.
of course John. Yeah.
Real quick, funny story with Adam on my end is with the Amy Bruni Strange Escapes. I've investigated the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park 4 times. One of those times, was with the Strange Escapes, and Adam Berry clicked with my mom because my mom's name's Billerica, and he actually lived in the town called Billerica. They message each other. Like my mom would say, guess who messaged me today? And like Adam did on Facebook for several years after that. But it's a great group of people, and it's so much fun. So with the Waverly, and I'll just tell you this, that's 2 hours from me. I had never investigated the Waverly. I have my own personal opinion about that. It's not important, but so I just want
No,
to know.
I do too. I agree. I'm
Well,
sure.
I just don't know what's original to that location.
I agree. No,
Okay.
when I went there, I will say what you see on television is not always what you see in real time.
Mhm,
And I feel
mhm.
like you're fed a story. You're
Right.
given a sample of something that could be made up. And I think people that go to these places are expected to be like scared out of their minds. They're fearful. When I went to Waverly, I was first off like kind of, I don't know why haunted places do this or people that own haunted places do this. They turn it into
An attraction.
an attraction. It's a
Yep.
Halloween attraction.
Yep.
And I just don't understand that. I think it's a disrespect.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, the experiences that I had there with whatever was there was beautiful, actually. I felt that I was being guided on another tour by whatever was there. At one point, I went on a floor and I was going into closets. For some reason, I was looking at these closets and I was getting excited. And then after the tour, I was talking to a woman who was a psychic medium. And she was like, me too. And I said, really? And she's like, I kept on seeing a woman excited about her room. And she kept on bringing me to her closet because this was their space and they got their own closet. And I was like, that's what I kept on feeling. Like,
Right.
like I was being pulled to these areas like, hey, look at this. Look what I got. Because this is all that those patients had. And they're still there. I think they're just misunderstood. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's some pretty dark things there. You have the good, you're going to have the bad. So,
Right. Yeah.
But our experience was pretty positive, and I think it's just all based on what you bring in to the location and how grounded you are.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of people too lean to negativity,
They
when it
want
comes
it,
to
yeah.
they want it for some reason. They want that spook factor. Like I would love to see a paranormal television show that does stuff on angels and the good things that happens in these locations.
Never, because demons are the
It's too positive, right?
demons are the exception, but they're never
Right.
the answer. They're not always
That's
the
right.
answer. That's what it is. Yeah.
And Ed's here, Ed Odell, saying love hearing
Hey, Ed.
her story.
Oh,
Say
thanks.
hey, Ed. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Ed. Jason's here too.
I will
And
definitely go back to Waverly.
Yes. Well, if you go back to Waverly, call me or
I
message
will.
me, and that might be the time I'll go.
I will.
Because I've been invited so many times, and I keep saying, and they've had an internal struggle too. The board kicked out the owners. Like there's all kinds of drama going on.
Always a drama. It's always a power and money struggle when it comes to cases like this. There is capitalism in paranormal.
I'm just going to tell you, Kentucky, in my opinion, and Ohio, I'll just say this, are the best two states, maybe even a little bit of West Virginia, but Kentucky, Ohio are the best two states of paranormal activity because it deals with true crime, mobsters, hauntings.
100%.
Like we have the Ohio River. Ohio is actually all the way encompassed by water.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Snake Mound.
Oh, Snake Mound. Like
Yeah.
we had Adena burial grounds here. We had what's his face? Hellier. What is his name? What were those guys? I'm not going to mention much about their names, but Greg Newkirk.
Newkirk
came to, and they were affiliated. That documentary was affiliated with my hometown of Ashland, and they try to connect some pieces to Hellier, Kentucky, which is an hour from me. And everything. So there's just a lot. There's Adena burial grounds in my town. We're like 3 rows along the Ohio River. And a lot of that, actually most of it, except for 4 mounds in our park, was absolutely destroyed. And it's said that they've taken those remains and put them at the Serpent Mound.
Ooh. No, thank you.
That will. So come to Kentucky, Tammie.
I don't know why I love going to the Midwest. It's like a palate cleanser for me. And then I see the cornfields, and I'm like, this is so real.
It's so true. It's so true. So true. Tammie, if you could talk to me a little bit about some of your investigative methods. I know we talked before, and you're a fan of the Estes method. Talk to us a little bit about that, what that entails. I personally like it as well because I think it kind of like encapsulates the person to be able to come like almost like a an antenna for something that's supposed to come in. Talk to us a little bit about that and maybe some of the other techniques that you use.
Well, it's pretty simple with the techniques that I use. I mean, I try to go in there logically. I try to remove any bias that I've read or heard or seen on television, and I just do my own due diligence. I just try to go in, very cold. And at the same time, I want to keep things very simple. I think it was Hans Holzer that mentioned, I think in one of his books, or I think in a lecture, he's like, why are investigators dabbling in so many of these devices? I feel like whenever we go into a location and we have 7 devices in our bag, we're spending all this time learning how to use it first and foremost, and second, too busy focusing on them that we're missing everything that is happening around us. And it's just going in there and just let the place talk to you, and then use a couple of devices of your choice. Let me see if I could collect something on my recorder. Let me see if I could capture something on my video or, my camera. And then let's go above and beyond, and let's see what we can collect, with the Estes method. Maybe we could figure out what is trying to talk to us here. And I always like using it because I just feel like, in a way, you go into your own psychic, you can tap into your own psychic abilities. If you really want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, you can really get into a state where it's just you, the headphone, and the device, and whoever is the communicator or the sender who's asking these questions. You can hear and really hone in on what is trying to communicate with you, or who or what. So that is something I always, try to tell people: keep it simple. Bring a camera or a video recorder. Bring someone, because I always say this. People always ask me, Tammie, don't you get scared? Yeah, I get scared of the living more than I do of the dead.
Hell yeah.
Living scare me more. I've gotten into some conflicts with the living on certain paranormal investigations, even public ones. Some who like to drink on investigations, they scare me more than anything. And the dead, I feel more safe with them. At least they're there just to say what's up, or not wanting to be bothered. So I get it. Also, if you feel like you can work well with the REM pod, that's fine. With the K2 tripwire, that's even better, but just keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Well, we learned that in business college too. I got a degree. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That's what we always do. And I'm one of those, Tammie. I'm very simple now too. I may have a K2 meter with me, but I have my audio recorder and a candle, even, or in a flashlight. I think less is more.
Less is definitely more. I remember there was a really popular one from the UK. He investigated, I think, the Alexander Opera House, but all he brought was a notebook, a flashlight, a recorder camera, and powder and string.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was his method. He wanted to, and then a notebook and a pencil with a ruler, so he can map out. He did a physical blueprint of the opera house. The powder he would put on certain floors where people would hear footsteps, and everything else was pretty practical, which I thought was very interesting. So, and he got a lot of things. He got a lot of phenomena that occurred around him. So,
And Ed shared the show to his fan group. So thank you, Ed, so much. And Ed also has a question here. He has a statement of question. So here's a one to switch in his bag of tricks that we continue to carry around that needs investigation. Why are we looking at what harms the spirit? What pieces of equipment cause issues to the spirit world? I'll tell you one cause issues, in my opinion. If I read that right,
what is that?
Your cell phone. That's what I think of when I
got
read
one.
that.
You want to hear mine?
Right.
Go ahead.
Is when you're doing an EVP session and all of a sudden your belly goes blah, 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 blah,
Oh, it's a demon. It's a demon.
You're like, damn it, come on,
True.
shut up.
That's why you always mark stomach growling, mark.
Right. Mark, stomach growl. Yeah.
That happened in the last investigation. Someone's stomach started growling and he was like, I am hungry, Mark.
Yeah. Right. Mark.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
I mean, to harm spirits, can we harm spirits? What devices are proven to harm spirits? I don't think nothing can harm a spirit. I mean, I think it could disrespect it first and foremost. When it comes to equipment, the one thing I notice from a lot of people that use a lot of these equipments is that no one can give me a lucid answer on how it works. I'm like, I always ask people, oh, what is that? Okay, well, what are the specs? What do you mean? How does it work? How does it retain? Where is it grabbing the information?
Right.
For example, the REM pod, whenever I ask people, oh, tell me about the REM pod. How do you use it? Like who's sending out or emitting the signal? What people don't know about the REM pod is that what's in the device is actually the same device that is used to pretty much manipulate the Simon Says. It's a Simon Says device that's been used in the REM pod. That's why you get the lights. And it is believed that when a spirit or something is around that is emitting electromagnetic energy, it's there to like pretty much sense that, or you can communicate with spirit with this machine. Simon Says, touch the antenna rod, maybe spirit will do that. So those are things that I think before we spend the $1,000, definitely do your research. Don't even get started on the freaking SLS camera, piece of shit. And
I'm such a big fan of that too. I am, yes. Yeah, the SLS I think is bullshit. I'm sorry.
It is.
Xbox Connect had so many discrepancies and so many like glitches, and like I've seen people freak out. They're like, "Oh my god, do you see the figure?" I'm like, "That's the chair."
That's the
chair. You're always going to get a figure on a chair because it gets 4 points no matter what. You get a figure on a trash can.
But to play devil advocate with Will, I mean, learn, okay, if you know how the device works, where it's retaining and receiving this information to read on the screen, I guess learn how to ask the appropriate questions with the appropriate devices. So with the SLS, okay, well, what if that's not a chair? Can you raise your hand? And if the damn thing is not raising its hand, then it's a chair. All right. Can you tell the figure to move into plain view, which Bridget has done on an investigation at a costume shop. And she was so smart. She's so good as an investigator. Not a lot of people know that, but she really is. And she asked this thing to come out into the hallway or into the aisle, and it did. And I was like, no way. That's so smart. That's true. Based on the questions, like try to figure out ways on how to work with the machine, maybe. SB11 box is so good. Yeah. I love that.
It is good. And back with the SLS too, people have to be aware of mirrors and glass in the room because a lot of stuff reflect off of it, and I've debunked so many things.
Yeah, it's trial and error.
It is trial and error.
Even if it's a shiny surface, it doesn't have to be a mirror.
It could be a desk.
We have these discussions so people can learn. Are like, all right, well, this is what I need to look out for. If they really are like, right, I will die on the hill for this device. These are things that you should really take into consideration, and these are discussions that should definitely be had.
An RRDR60 makes me cringe, and the hit and miss people that, because in my experience of doing 24 years of paranormal investigating, I do EVP work, and I came from a musically talented family. Sound and stuff has always been super. Like, you can give me a thread of voice or whatever sound, and I can go in and look at it, and I can pull out an EVP just by looking at the waves. Now, the RRDR, what is it? RRDR60, I'm sorry. All of these people use it from the 80s, and they spend like $1,500 for. It's absolutely, in my opinion, I could be wrong, and Tammie Will might believe different. It's absolutely just gross. A lot of static feedback in these things. I was on an investigation with a guy one time that's on TV, and I was doing a sizzle reel and stuff for a TV show with this guy, and I can audio record continually, and I mark things, and I'll whisper. You'll hear me. I'll be like, that's a dog across the street, because I use amplified headphones when I investigate and stuff. So I'm recording all the way through, and this guy records hit and misses with his RRDR60. He captured a demon. I captured the dog barking across the street, and he actually told the family that they have a demon in their home. And like, it ate me up so bad. I'm like, I cannot let these people know this or think this in their house, because I think a lot of people can speak their own hauntings onto themselves. And I went in and I took the whole 10, 15 minutes of investigation work, lined it up with his hit and misses. and presented it to him. I was like, "There's no demon. It's a dog across the street."
Mm-hmm. That's
But
good. That's really
the RRDR 60 though. I think it has that. You know what I'm talking about? Like that.
Yeah.
Or something.
What year did that come out? Was it in the 80s or in the 90s?
It was late 80s, I thought.
And that's digital, or is that?
Or maybe 90s. Will, do you know?
I think it was late 90s
Okay.
when that came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I use this. This is what I use. See this little thing? This little thing? I've caught more EVPs on this little thing. And it's a no-name brand. You could buy it off of Amazon probably for like $20. This little thing, I've caught more EVPs off of this thing than anything else I've ever caught. And it's just because maybe it's higher quality. I don't know. Is it
Olympus? What is it?
No, it's an off-name brand. This is not something.
Yeah.
I've caught so many things off of just. I don't believe in the name brand stuff. I really don't. When it comes
me
to
neither. I know like the Olympus ones that are like now $1,500.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
A lot of spirits enjoy bagpipes. That's so, I will agree. They enjoy things that make noise. Like they love music.
Or
and
music. It connects everybody. Yes, you can generate your own haunting if you believe in it.
Yeah, that's true. So. Yeah.
Oh, I find that. Tammie, do you do a lot of residential investigations?
I try not to. I think because in a lot of, with parapsychologists, the ones that I've been talking to lately, they're like, there's a reason when it comes to personal investigations in people's dwellings, there's a reason why we are bringing psychologists with us. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times there are people that are dealing with a lot of mental issues. And I've been in part of two where, I feel like a lot of times it's people dealing with their own personal demons, but not actual demons. Mm-hmm. So, there's one where it was a house of a woman here in Santa Monica who claimed that it was being hoarded by demons, plural. And it was hoarded she was a hoarder. It was a really bad situation. And when we did the walkthrough, it smelled so bad first. She had cats. The cats did their business.
Why is there always cats with the hoarders? Why? Yeah.
And the one thing that really tripped me out was passing by her bathroom, and she had 20 medication bottles, some empty in the sink, others like that still had a lot of medication. And it turned out that she was mixing a lot of medication that she wasn't supposed to mix together. And she was taking a lot. And I think another thing too, when it comes to personal investigations, it's like, there's always a follow-up. Like there's not, okay, we spent an hour, we talked to you, we couldn't find anything, peace. Like, no, there's a follow-up. How are you doing? Have you spoken to your doctor? Do we need to put you in communication with, we put her in communication with a nonprofit to help with her house. And then we recommended her to go see a second opinion. And sure enough, like she had a lot of things cleared out. She was put on a new regimen. And guess what? The demons
went away.
Yeah. So a lot of times it's not the environment, it's us, and
it's a battlefield of the mind.
Yeah.
What that is. Too. So since we're and actually this is one of my questions here too. Since we're talking about paranormal equipment and all this kind of stuff, what is your favorite piece though? Yeah, absolutely. You have to have it. Like if you show up at a location and you don't have it, you're like, hold on guys, I'll be right back. I got to go get it. What is the number one piece of, I've been there. I've done that. I've come to an investigation. I'm like, how in the world did I forget my favorite piece of equipment? I've left and come back. What is that with you, Tammie?
Oh my God, batteries.
Right. Yeah. Backup batteries. Yeah, absolutely.
That scares me. I'm like, who packed the batteries? No one.
Right.
Everybody's looking on the floor.
Oh shit.
Google's Walmart or CVS.
Yeah. It's gonna make a battery run.
Honestly, I need to have a recorder. I love doing sessions. That is something I'm still learning. I want to learn more and more about, like, okay, what different sounds to listen for. And I'm learning, okay, that's more of a
different hertz
static effect, and this one is more of like someone's stomach gurgling. So those are things that, that is a must. I have to have a recorder. And if in my world of many worlds, maybe a tape recorder. That is something I would love to
Oh,
use.
I've done tape recording before, and it's
Because
awesome.
there is a difference. Like there is a
There
debate
is.
with digital and tapes because there's two the
Digital is different than tape because tape is
yeah,
more
because they're
magnetic,
two
right?
different. They use two different forms to record.
Right.
The digital has the card, and the tape
Mhm.
recorder has the little carbon tape right there. So the analog.
Mhm.
So it's very different and interesting to see what is recorded and imprinted on that analog.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
It's amazing. I have a theory about voice and stuff. I think that what we speak into existence, it stays, and it stays imprinted on all of these different places we go to, specifically like presidents, Abraham Lincoln, and all that stuff. And it may fade over time, but that voice and that hertz level, that declaration, it still stays.
Mhm.
And you got to be sensitive to that to understand. And Tammie, here's a question. I have Will follow up with this. Before you go into an investigation, do you like to know information about that location prior, or do you not want to know anything about it at all and then pick up on it as you go?
Ooh, I've done it both ways, but primarily, because I'm trying to figure out like my psychic abilities, which when I went to Louisville skyrocketed for some reason.
That's
And
why
that
you got to come to Kentucky. Tammie, you got a free place to stay. I'm
I
2 hours
it's
from
something
anything.
that I want to really research is like the more that we're absorbed to that we absorb electromagnetic energy, does that make us more of a magnet and vulnerable to paranormal phenomenon? Because every time I go to David Omen's house or when I went to the Sealback that had high levels of EMF, I felt like I was a magnet to a lot of places where I was seeing and hearing more things than before. I was even like seeing words. But
Mhm.
to respond to your question too, I personally now like to go in without knowing anything and then do my due diligence right after.
Mhm.
And if they correlate, and I like the shock factor too. To me, that's where I get like the thrill, like, oh my God, I knew it. Someone died here. I felt it in this room, That's what happened with the apartment that I investigated in Hollywood. These actors were living in this one apartment. They were going through a lot of stuff that they couldn't explain. Two of them were very sensitive. One had psychic abilities that ran in his family. And the place, it was not just so much them. I felt like they were big magnets, but it was also the location. And after that investigation, I found out that their damn apartment building was built over a very famous funeral home that catered to wakes and funerals of silent film stars. It was called the Earl Gates and Crane Funeral Home.
Wow.
Here it is. History gets erased in LA, and a apartment or a parking building is built in this place.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And they were like, well, how do we get rid of it? And it's like one of those things where you can't, because it's just like we could get rid of or help whatever needs to move forward to move on, but you're still going to get more things coming in and out of here.
That's right.
This was a huge apartment building, so Lord knows what people are bringing in too that is magnifying, whatever's here, especially in the heart of Hollywood, which is where they were located.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards not knowing too much of the location. I just want to know when it was built, and that's it.
Yeah. Tammie, one thing I wanted to ask you, being in the paranormal field, I've stayed in the periphery, but Emily has been more involved. You have definitely been, certainly been very involved, especially as of late. Let's talk about the divide in the paranormal community here. Why is there always such a divide? And why I'm bringing this up because just not too long ago, Yvette Fielding came out with an article just not too long ago, basically blaming Derek Acorah for all the stuff that happened on Most Haunted. And I mean, Derek Acorah is no longer with us, unfortunately. So, for me, when I see something like that, I see somebody attacking a dead person. What do you say to stuff like this? I mean, because, for us, we're very, we help each other out, but there's another side of it where it's very just like cutthroat and, you're over there and I'm over here, and don't come into my space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that. And have you felt any of that as of late?
Um, yes, I have. Especially with this, I feel like the paranormal has been a big trend lately, especially
Right.
with content creators and social media stars. There's some that I had beef with in the past that have blocked me because these are TikTok psychics that for some reason.
Oh, don't get me started on TikTok psychics.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Tammie.
Yeah,
That's a
one
whole
of
other
them was
thing.
actually
Oh,
the one who
that's-
investigated Jasmine's place, and I had
Oh,
issues with that,
okay.
and they had issues with David Oman,
Mm.
and but yeah, I feel like it's a trend, and I feel like it's this way, another new way for people to gatekeep, and I feel
That's
that
true.
people want to be recognized in a field where they feel like they can easily manipulate people. And for
Right.
Derek, unfortunately, because I spoke to Kieran O'Keefe like sometimes, and I spoke to him about it on Instagram about Derek. And he knew from the very beginning of the show that Derek was full of shit, unfortunately. And sure enough, like, look what happened.
Look what
It
happened.
caused
Right.
a lot of problems, and
Yeah, it did.
yeah, it was like, well, now everything's like shitty now. Like, like everything that he read, was that true? No, it wasn't. So it's not like something that they could go back and redo.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're in a renaissance of spiritualism. This is what I was thinking about just recently. Actually, last night, we're in this renaissance of spiritualism where before, during, the emergence of spiritualists, people were being taken advantage of by psychics. Fox Sisters
Absolutely.
being one of them. And I feel like in this new renaissance, we're still being taken advantage of by people online who are claiming to read and do all these things, and we're still gullible. We still don't know and haven't learned anything from history. And I think because Derek was also a big showman, that was also a major red flag, and that is a red flag that I have to look out for whenever I'm vetting psychics.
That's right.
And mediums.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one that I go towards that I really do trust, and her name is Tammie Merheb-Chavez, who is a part of Ashe Import. She's a santera. She practices santeria, but she also has a big gift. Like, anytime I bring this woman out to a meeting with a friend, like, she's never met before, she's like, "Can I read you?" And the girl's like, "Yes." And she will just like drop information, and the girl's like, "How did you know that?"
Right. Yeah.
It's like that right there tells me everything I need to know about them.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a whole nother world of Santeria. I mean, that's just like amazing, right?
It's amazing, and I think how Hollywood has painted it is a definite. Yeah, it's definitely misleading, but how she
super.
It's so beautiful because not a lot of people know that people who practice Santeria the real ones go to Cuba, and they do a lot of humanitarian work there.
That's correct. Yeah.
And they feed because that's where, a lot of the people who practice it, that's where it pretty much emerged. And yeah, and they have.
Oh, go ahead, Tammie. I didn't mean to.
And they've done a lot of they've done a lot of nonprofit work there too. So, I mean, those are things that not a lot of people know, but that is that, as as a response to that. Well, I think it's something that's always going to be a problem in our community.
That sucks.
Like Derek, unfortunately.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, unfortunately. Yep.
It is, and I'm just going to say this as a paranormal investigator doing a lot of events. I was a main residential paranormal investigator in my just small town of Kentucky. I was the main residential investigator, and we did tons of events. And we had it's a doctor that owned the home, and he wanted this specific psychic medium, and I respect psychic mediums. I'm not saying this, but I worked with her and about 3 other people. It's the same stories, same thing over and over. Something about money, something about romance, something that is somebody did something bad against you. If you're seeing these patterns over and over, like, please pray however you want to believe. I pray to the Holy Spirit for discernment. Like, there's so many counterfeits out there. It's disgusting. And TikTok is a breeding pool of it, because once you start liking one person on TikTok that hits with me, your FYP is going to be flooded.
I think it was Dr. Lloyd Auerbach said it best. He was like, the 3 things that I look for in a psychic that I know that they're fake is 1, if they charge money, like a boatload of money for their services. And number 2, they make the entire reading or investigation about themselves. And 3, this is so important, if they do not have a sense of humor. And I was like, yes, yes, and yes. That is so true. That is so true. I've seen some bad ones that it's like they make the entire investigation about themselves, and it's like all these theatrics. They're crying, they're going into convulsions, and then they're okay after they get paid, after the Venmo clears.
The show. After the show is done.
Clear after the show's done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've even seen psychic mediums on TikTok that are higher than I can't even. They're doing more than weed. I'm just gonna tell you that on TikTok.
The weed.
They're bringing in like so much money. I almost would like to do like a trial and error, like scientific
or a
research
spoof.
on this.
Or just a
like,
spoof.
give me some weed and let me get on TikTok and see what I can bring in.
Right.
It's just crazy. Tammie, real quick, we're gonna let you go here in a second. I have your Instagram up and stuff. If you could tell anybody else where they can find you, we appreciate you so much being a guest on the show. You're gonna have to come back. That's all there is. Thank you.
I think she froze. I think she
froze.
Yes, she
started
froze.
talking about weed.
Yep, that's it. As soon as that W word came out, she froze.
Well, I have her Instagram up, and then she also has. I want to see if she comes back on in a second because we got a few more minutes since we started late. And then Linktree, Hollyweird Paranormal Linktree, which has all their sites and stuff.
Her Instagram. Go to her Instagram, by the way. That's where the good stuff is at. Yes.
Stories, all that stuff. So we appreciate you, Tammie. Yep. I'm sorry she froze. And that's she froze in a very good image. She's beautiful.
Yes, her face, yeah.
So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Wow, Tammie, Hollyweird Paranormal. I love her.
Yeah, she's the best. Yeah,
she is. Yeah. She's a really great person, inside and out, and I'm so glad that I came across her. Oh, hold on, she might be signing back in real quick. Maybe she's gonna say.
Here we go.
Hold on, Tammie.
And she comes. And her hand breaks through the coffin. Oh, really?
Power went out.
The power. This happened last weekend because it's been so hot here that we've been having outages. So,
oh my goodness!
Of course, right now.
Yep, right at the end, right.
Well,
from my phone, I have full juice on my phone. It's fine.
There you go.
Well, real quick, because we're still here on 107.7 FM New Orleans, and we didn't even get touched that you're from New Orleans, so we're gonna have to come back on because we didn't even touch that. It's one of my big main things on here. Talk about this. Anyway, if you don't mind, tell people where they can find you the best, and we'll let you go, and Will and I will close out the show. We appreciate you so much, Tammie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, now X, at Hollyweird Paranormal. And I also go by Hollyweird Paranormal on TikTok or Haunted LA Girl. And you can follow more of my stories and my adventures there. And I will be coming out with a couple of, I think one more episode, 2 episodes, one with Ghost Girls that you can find on Tubi, their 2nd season. And I'll be shooting something with Me Too BuzzFeed this week. So
good for you. Good. You know what? Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Tammie, you deserve it. You work so hard. Really.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really I'm tired. I'm really tired.
I can tell the eyes. Yeah.
These ghosts don't let us sleep.
Nope.
Well, we'd love to have you back on, and I'll reach out to you in the future to come back on What the Frick Live. We appreciate you, and thank you so much. We'll let you go, and we'll close out the show. Thank you, Tammie.
Thank you guys.
Tammie.
Everybody.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
And there we have it. Tammie Chavez.
She came back like Jason Voorhees at the end, huh? You thought she was dead. She came right back.
It's Friday the 13th, baby.
That's right.
Nobody dies on Friday the 13th.
Nobody dies on Friday the 13th.
And by the way, we have a lot of amazing people too making comments and stuff, sharing the show out. We appreciate you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you with all of my heart.
We
for
appreciate
Haunted October, we're going to be back here again next week. I'm hopefully, maybe we can go to TikTok. I'm going to contact TikTok and let them know what happened tonight, because not very many shows like this go live on TikTok. They're not. So I'm happy they reached out to What the Frick Live to see if we would be a trial run. So this is trial and error. I'm marketing it still for TikTok, just as in case it happens. But tonight it didn't happen, but it's okay. Please share this out. Thank you for everybody's listening on 107.7 FM. We appreciate you all. Please stay tuned for the Church of Mavis. We'll be here again next week, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Omar Gosh TV. He has a real name. But I don't know if I should call him Omar. I don't know if I should call him by his real name. Just Omar Gosh TV.
Let's see what he says.
YouTube. It's a YouTube, which YouTube, when COVID happened, I started going to YouTube a lot, which I followed Omar. Omar and I've talked over the few years and stuff, and I've talked to him. He doesn't do very many interviews at all, actually. So
I've never seen any interviews with him.
It's a blessing he's coming on to this show next week. So we're gonna have a game and everything for Omar too. We want it to be Dave Evans, great show, you two.
Thanks, Dave.
We love you. Shared it, great show with Tammie. So
Thanks, Jason.
We'll be back here next week with Omar Gosh TV from YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah.
Please share this out. We love you. We appreciate you. Stay here with Church of Mavis on 107.7 FM New Orleans.